All right, we are live, folks, and we're doing a Dottke tuning. So we do this often, regularly. We do it in staff meetings. We do it with students in small groups. We do it in large groups and classes, and it's for project tuning, but it's also for problem tuning, right? So as a staff, we bring things we're struggling with, and we talk through them through this protocol, and we've adapted the High Tech High 7-minute tuning protocol, and they also have a 15-minute tuning protocol, and we've adapted it to a 10-minute Dottke tuning protocol. Why? Because we do things differently. We're designed differently, so we have to make our own thing. So Bidders has agreed to come to our meeting today with a problem to solve, and I say that because in this case, it wasn't a student project, or it wasn't a lesson or anything that a staff person was doing. It was more like, hey, I have a problem. Let's tune it and let's get all our heads together and see if she can leave with some good, awesome ideas. So we're going to follow the protocol, and I'm going to guide that. Mr. Lassard is always our timekeeper because he's amazing with that. So we're going to do that. So we're going to start, and I'm going to allow Bidders to give us kind of a 1-minute project overview. She's going to tell us about the key issues that are going on in her problem, and just basically talk us through what she's, what her issue is, her problem, and what she's struggling with. Bidders, go.
All right. This has been something, a pit in my stomach like the entire year, and fourth quarter is usually when this comes to a head. So yearbook. How the heck are we gonna do a yearbook this year? So I mean, this would be the third year of doing it. First year, I mean, everything was normal. Typically how I've done it is kind of accumulate all the photos, we've taken from the year between all of you. I had one of my English classes was yearbook focused so kids were doing it, for a grade, and turned out awesome. Last year, obviously, things got a little tricky there, but we had the Dottke playground, and so we were able to put together something pretty cool and special, despite being kind of a lot of work on my end because I didn't have the student help. And this year we just didn't have, we didn't really have the playground. We didn't have the resources. I know I'm out of time. And while we're back in person now, it's still not quite the same. We're not having our big events and all that. And fourth quarter doesn't seem like a lot of time to get that kind of stuff put together. So that's kind of where we're at. How do we make a quality yearbook for our kids?
Awesome. And one clarification piece for viewers out there, we don't contract out to have someone do our yearbook. We do everything ourselves. So we got to figure out a way to create our own yearbook like we do every year. Everything's student driven, so we let students and staff do that. So now the next part of our protocol is the 1-minute think time. So we're all gonna be quiet and rack our brains and think about things and take notes. And it's quiet think time, so no one's talking. Like me, I'm not talking right now. It's quiet. All right, group think time has ended. So we're going to move on to clarifying questions, and this is going to be for 2 minutes. And our group here is going to ask clarifying questions of Bidders, and these are questions to help us understand her idea more easily, and they tend to have very brief factual answers. So sometimes we as groups struggle with that. So we have to phrase these in a way that will result in brief factual answers. So we can open up now 2 minutes clarifying questions for Bidders. Go ahead whenever, whoever.
Are you wanting to make this a printed color edition?
Yes.
Is it definite that you're not going to have a class?
I guess definite no. I could do a seminar kind of towards the end, geared towards it, but I just don't know how, how well that would produce stuff.
Do you have any interest from students yet?
I haven't probed too much. Usually what's happens in the past is I ask for help from students and they don't produce. And so I hesitate to put a lot of the on them. But that is something we could do a independent project and advisory on to help with.
What
you
pro,
think of
what
one-
program do you use or have you used in the past? I mean,
Google Slides, but I now have Canva Pro. So maybe that program's not so much an issue.
Can you think of one or two kids that would want to be part of it with you? That maybe are seniors that would have a real strong vested interest in making sure that there is a yearbook?
Not off the top of my head, none that like I have the time and commitment level to make that a priority.
Would you
Are
consider
you-
contracting some of the work out if it saves you a little time and you can get kind of more use more of your creativity and get somebody else to kind of do the lower level work?
That I wouldn't oppose help. I guess my it's not so much the putting it together stuff and reaching out. It's what do we put in it? What is it going to consist of? Because usually we have all these events that we can compile photo collages and stuff. And what to what level does it have to be worth the time and money and effort, that the kids are actually going to appreciate it.
Okay, so good. Those were clarifying questions for bidders. We're to move on to 2 minutes of probing. So Lassard's going to set it for 2 probing questions for the presenter. Reveal the presenter's thinking and logic. So a lot of times probing questions tend to start with how or why. Probing questions, 2 minutes for bidders.
Is it
Why? I
important-
have a why question. Why are you set on having a physical yearbook like we have in the past?
I know the kids want that because that's kind of that quintessential part of your, especially those seniors, part of the high school experience. And I know we do things differently, but there are some things that just make sense to keep the same. I know last year we tried to do a combination of the virtual with the physical, and I don't think any traction really got made on the digital aspect of it. And it's just nice to, you know how it is to pull out your high school yearbook and flip through the pages and that kind of stuff. T, you had a question.
Well, I was just, why is it important that it has to be like thick? Like include like activities, or does it have to just include stuff from this year?
I'm pondering that just because again, I guess there's a little bit of rebranding that probably want to happen because it's, do we want to just push out a yearbook that's already been pretty much printed? I don't know. I guess I'd have to think through that more. I guess it doesn't have to be thick. It just feels better that it's thick,
What would you think about including some of the aspects of the students' projects that are more visual? Student art, student photography, student poetry, as well as maybe some photos that we have of the seniors, the graduating class in particular, from years prior.
Flame of the Phoenix.
Yeah, it's and that's something I thought about too, because in the past we've done that, but I guess we have more this year than we have in the past. It doesn't take up a whole lot of real estate. And I hesitate to, do Flame of the Phoenix stuff. It just the yearbook is something that's special, and I hate to turn it into a marketing thing, and that's kind of what Flame of the Phoenix was, or I shouldn't say was, is, and get to the heart, because the yearbook is more than just here are the cool projects. It's it's our community. It's it's our secret sauce, or it shows the secret sauce.
Okay, that's it for probing questions. We're gonna go into discussion, and this is where we basically yes and that's what we do at Dottke anyways, is we yes and we brainstorm. So this is where Bitters has to zip it, and she can't talk, but she gets to listen and listen and listen and write notes down, and because we're going to ask her to reflect on some of what we've talked about next. But this is where we're also flexible with our 10-minute Dottke protocol. We don't want to getting crazy out of control long, but on the other hand, we have a lot of awesome minds and come up with some really cool stuff. So this is where we usually do 3 minutes. Sometimes it goes 4 or 5. So Mike, this is the one that why don't you set her for 3, but we'll let it go if we need to. And this is the yes ending. Let's give some brainstorming, some things for Bitters to think about when it comes to her yearbook project. Go.
First thing that comes to my mind is, yes, we didn't do a lot of group things and things that you took pictures of, but this is a historical year. And I think it's super important to note that. So maybe there could be a bit more emphasis on what we did do and what it did look like. Maybe some interviewing of our seniors that could be included in it, something like that. Their take on what this year felt like and looked like.
Yeah, because what we're trying to do is normally you'd be capturing the year in review, but the year in review, we don't have a collective year in review. We have many individuals' years in review. So
what is
like that?
Do we include a portion of it that kind of provides some context for the year that's maybe more global and outside of the not just at Dottke, but have a little bit of a portion that's sort of a time capsule of what was happening in society this year?
So we've never done that in the past, but other schools have, and I think that's important. And while you guys were talking, I wrote down year's book, because we didn't get new students a whole lot, but that means that the students we have been with us for a period of time. So we might be able to document something in a year's book that would be the last year or two and what's been going on outside, but then how that affected them. What did they do for passion projects last spring when we went into the lockdown all over the place, and just try to use what we have rather than trying to force a yearbook that we don't have a lot of photos for.
Well, and again, just thinking out loud here on this, everybody takes so many pictures nowadays with their own devices and their phones. Back when yearbooks started, it wasn't like we had pictures like we have today. So every kid, again, probably has their own yearbook in their own phone of the last year or two. So I don't know if, pictures are great. I think everybody has pictures over the last year of everything. Maybe what was going on in the kid's head might be something to add to the yearbook. If they had a little reflection piece they could add to I don't know. Just to me, the yearbook thing with pictures is great and everything, but it's not 1990 where nobody has pictures of things anymore. Everybody's got a phone full of 126 gigabytes of pictures.
School is at home for the most part for the last year. So it's what's something new that you started or stopped doing, or, something that you made or did at home that isn't even school related, possibly.
I was also thinking it's kind of a combination of what Janine and Lassard were saying, is that maybe it's shaped more around almost reflection and resilience in terms of what are some of the things that happened in the thinking of the students would be interesting. I know in conversations with them, there clearly is a difference as they're looking kind of back. So to kind of almost maybe not think so much how it used to look, but sort of a unique version of what this year's been like and what they want to pass on about it.
I
The
think,
Allis
a-
Library is doing a history with young people. They've asked them to document their experiences during COVID, and the quarantine and virtual school and all of those things. And so I like what you're saying, a visual, a visual of what their experiences were and a written reflection of what their experiences were. And again, that could be photography, it could be, poetry, it could be some type of artwork that the students have done during that time period.
Okay, but we
When-
haven't addressed the main issue that she brought up was the how and the when. Because we're running out of time. So if Kaylee can't do it, my Google Home just decided to talk to me. That's fun. So if Kaylee can't do it right away, I think this is something we should probably start like right away, fourth quarter, just so we have time to complete it. Is there anyone else who can step in and do like a 7th-hour seminar with a couple of kids? Just like a mini seminar for like 2 weeks just to get it going. I mean, maybe someone can come in and show them how to use Canvas Pro and we can get that started at least.
Yep, so good ideas for bidders. We'll add like 30 seconds to this. I'm gonna make a comment about, I like the idea of having kids reflect on their year or years. And if we gave them like 3 or 4 different topics, what did you learn? What did it look like when you were learning? And they have a picture and like a couple statements, because then it's personal, because that's what you want. And we've done this in the past where kids have their own personal page. We could do something where they each have their own personal page, but we give them the couple topics that we want them to reflect on. They can put a picture and they can put a quick reflection, and it does lock in what the heck was going on during this time. And 20 years from now, every kid will look through that yearbook, and instead of having pictures of all the stuff that went on in school, it still is a cool reflection of the historical things that happened and how kids were learning and living during that time period. So it'd still be pretty powerful.
And I thought we could use advisory at the beginning, to have the advisories come up with or do a circle a couple times, because Deja did such a good job the other day, of talking about how it's community circle and this is our community and we're different and those kinds of things. And yesterday I was eavesdropping and Allis was like, I'm so excited that we're getting new students. And Pedro was even more excited because I think he feels like the new student. So I think if we put this out to the kids and maybe film it and do, just like a circle and things, but brainstorm them for like, what would you want in your yearbook? And then we could, but we need a theme. But then like Lynch is saying, the 7th hour, the couple kids that take charge of things, if they came up with a theme, or if we had these discussions, so a theme was developed, then we could all help in our seminars, in our classes a bit with getting kids to put content forward.
Or even we could like train a couple of kids to go around to the different advisory groups and help them with like a template or something.
Mary Pat, last words.
I'm just wondering if it would be more effective to do it on a cruise where there's an actual, there's some accountability in place, and because the crews are smaller to work with them, so Kaylee doesn't have to even worry about that. It gets kind of delegated out to the rest of us in some way to try to gather that information. Just a thought.
Cool. So as usual, we're amazing and awesome at that. So we went long, but that's okay. So now we give bidders 1 minute to reflect, tell us what she heard that she liked, what was new, what's got her thinking. Bidders, go for it.
Mary Pat, I worry about everything, so don't you worry about that. This was great. I think basically what it boils down to is everything kind of falls in line together. I think, yeah, getting a group of students, even if it's for quarter credit, a couple of weeks, just, English credit, saying, all right, develop these interview questions and go to advisories and start interviewing kids and getting their story. To kind of, I like the idea of this has been a monumental year and we need to document it in some way from the student's perspective. Where is it in my notes? I like Lassard's idea, kind of. I don't know if it's so much how I thought about it is, maybe there's a section where the kids, go through your camera roll and start creating like almost like a photo collage timeline of your camera roll and put it together and yeah, what was it like when you were at home? And yeah, what Greg said about in the past yearbooks, it's been very kind of, here are the questions, fill them out, make your page, and maybe there's a better way to finesse it, but that's exactly kind of what I was thinking about. Yeah, I think there's potential here. It's just getting a group to commit and incentivize it and get them out sooner rather than later. Yeah, because it takes time, and it's not like I have until the last day of school to work on this. It's, you know, a couple weeks beforehand.
Yep.
So.
Great reflection, awesome tuning. Just like everything when we do this, it's not the end, right? But it gives bidders a ton of really cool, awesome ideas from 15 other people that she can start thinking about. And then, as usual, we will branch off in later meetings and have other brainstorming meeting, groups about this, or she'll have a smaller committee that works with together in order to get this out. So this is just the beginning, but this is going to help her get off on the right foot. So I'm going to stop recording. Thank you, awesome Dottke staff, for doing this tuning and agreeing to have it recorded. Thank you.